Welcome back to Charlie Cat Presents. For those of you who are new here, I am your host, Dennis Morrison. I'd like to personally invite you to subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any of the upcoming programs in both this series, Charlie Cat Presents, and the many other videos that I put up during the course of the month. I don't want you to miss out on any of them. And be sure to check the backlog of programs, because there's a lot there, and a lot that if you're interested in history, comic books, music, whatever, old-time radio, you'll find something of interest to you. And also, I would say please, pretty please, click that thumbs up icon if you feel so inclined. And then after the video, if you don't like the video, click the thumbs down. But I really appreciate your help in that. It helps me a lot, both emotionally, knowing that people do like my videos, and it helps me with the algorithms also. So having said that, today I want to show you some of the pieces in my china, porcelain, and ceramic collection. If you'd like to collect something with an almost limitless variety, when you consider the history of porcelain, what it is, then there'd be no wonder that there is nothing better than porcelain to collect for sheer versatility of items out there. The history of manufacture goes back over 2,000 years, and think on that and you'll understand again why I say collecting porcelain is almost limitless. There's something out there for every taste, just about. Now, according to Wikipedia, which we all know is the most trustworthy source on the internet, it depends on who you talk to. I like it anyways. But according to Wikipedia, porcelain was developed in China over a centuries-long development period, beginning with proto-porcelain wares dating to the Shang Dynasty, about 1600 to 1046 BC. And China produced beautiful china in China, and they still do. Of course, production spread across our good old planet Earth at a fairly rapid pace. Now, as you might expect, the spread of ceramics had a profound effect on the cultural history of mankind, or womankind, or peoplekind. I forget, you gotta be politically correct nowadays. So, humankind. Sorry about that, folks. Anyways, for example, the ancient Romans produced wonderful wares, as did the Native American Indians in the Southwest, well, and in the Southeast also. But here in Michigan, where I live, you don't have to search far to be able to see the different ceramics made in the ancient history of the Native American people here in the Great Lakes region. See, originally they were hunters and gatherers, that is, they would follow the food source, and so they didn't have a sedentary lifestyle. They traveled around following the food. So no one knows exactly when or how ceramics were introduced to the Native Americans. I know there's a lot of conjecture about old world cultures having been on the shores of the Americas long before Columbus, and I don't think there's any doubt in that anymore. But I think that the introduction to pottery to the Native Americans came from the old world, particularly in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, where there are the huge copper mines. Copper from those mines, it is estimated, spread throughout the ancient world. People came there. It was a huge, probably one of the largest deposits of copper accessible to the ancients anywhere. So it would stand to reason, if they came and got the copper, that they'd bring some of their traditions along with them, including the production of ceramics. Now, once the Indians here in Michigan began producing ceramics, they gradually became more settled, and they began to garden, gathered seasonal food commodities from nature, and all because of ceramics. It gave them a way to store it, to process it. It made a tremendous difference to those people's lives. The Native American wares were utilitarian, at least here in Michigan. They didn't show much degree of decoration. They didn't use any slips, but somewhat pleasing to the eye, but the main thrust of it was utilitarian. So in China, however, and eventually across Europe, porcelain, a highly fired ceramic, was both functional and pleasing to the eye. Of course, they had their utilitarian ware also, which concentrated on purpose rather than eye appeal. Well, enough of me. Let's head up to my dining room so I can show you some of my collection. I hope you'll enjoy it, and I will see you again at the end of the program. Okay, the first thing I want to show you in my collection of porcelain, china, ceramics, whatever you want to call them, is this set. I believe it's a Teapots set. I'm going to turn it this way so you can't see the mess in the kitchen. But it has the very small cups with a beautiful angel or cherub motif on them. There's two of those. And then it has your sugar bowl, again with the cherub motif. The creamer. And then the pot. Now the pot, the only thing missing on the set is the cover for the pot, and it has very nice, again, cherub ornamentation on it, and I love the handle, how ornate the handle is, and it's such good condition. And then we have the tray. Now, the thing that's really cool about these to me is that they are, I believe, Victorian. I can't find the maker's mark anywhere online, but I believe they're Victorian. However, they could be reproduction. I'm not sure, and the reason I say they could be reproduction is because it is in such good condition. There's no crazing to the glaze on them. There are no chips, dings, nothing. They're in excellent condition. But again, I wish I could find this maker's mark online. It appears to be two lions with a crest and maybe crown in the center of it. So a lovely set. I got this at a yard sale 2 blocks from my house earlier this year, and I paid $8 for it, which even if it's a knockoff, I thought it was a really good price. If it's not a knockoff, I'm thinking 1880s to 1890s. Now here are 3 pieces of art pottery from, I believe, the 1930s, late 1920s, 1930s. Let's look at this one first. This one is in perfect, pristine condition. It was manufactured by Roseville. It's the Magnolia Blossom design. It came in pink, blue, and these wonderful earth tones, and I'm glad that the one that I got is in the earth tones. Uniquely, they had Roseville did a series that had like these cutouts in them, but it's in pristine condition. This was actually found by a friend of mine at a church giveaway, and he brought it over and wanted to know if I wanted to buy it. And of course I wanted to, but I thought he'd charge, quite a bit for it. But I picked it up. Are you ready? Are you sitting down? I picked this charmer up for $2. Now on the bottom you can see that it has the Roseville name, Roseville, USA. So a really beautiful piece, and I was really happy to acquire that for my collection. Now here, this is a hull of the same era. It's in the light pastel colors. It's very pretty, very pretty. It has problems with it, but I got it for 50 cents, so I thought, hey, despite the problems, I'd put it in my collection. The main problem you can see here is a little chip on the rim, and I believe, oh, and another chip here on the rim, and those are the only problems. Definitely still worthy of being in, a collection. And on the bottom you can see, hopefully, you can see it says Hull, USA. And then looking similar to that is this piece that unfortunately has definitely seen better times or days, but it has a chip here and it has some minor cracking and another chip down here. But again, for the price of 25 cents, I couldn't just abandon it at the thrift store that I found it at. This also is a Roseville, and you can see on here, Roseville, USA. Lovely piece. I kind of an Art Deco design with the way the handles come down as they are. Definitely very pleasing to the eye. This lovely 3-piece vanity set was manufactured by the W.H. Grindley Company. Excuse me. The company was established in 1880. This particular set was manufactured in England circa 1885. I love pictures, and this is a nice one. Very good condition. I love the ornate handle, and it has a nice decorative like wreath around the piece. On the bottom, you can see the very nice maker's mark. So that would have been for water, obviously. Whether this was for drinking or whatever use you'd have for it on the vanity. Again, got the nice maker's mark on it and ornate handle. And then this, probably, I've been told, was for hairbrushes and combs to be put in on the lady's vanity. Really nice set, like I said, circa 1885. I picked this up, spent a little more on it than I would normally spend, for 25 bucks at a thrift store downstate. When my son David and I had some time to spare that day, and we went in there, and lo and behold, there it was, waiting to come home with David and I. Now this bowl dish, serving dish, I'm not sure exactly what you call it, is very ornate, very, very good condition. There's no chips or dings. Very nice, probably transfer work in there. I don't think it's hand painted. But I want to tell you a little bit about this piece and how I acquired it. I showed you, I think the first piece that I showed you was the Victorian era Teapots set. And at that same sale, there was this piece and a couple other things that I wanted, but I didn't have enough money to get them all, right at that time. So I had struck up a conversation with the husband and wife that had the sale, and she is a nurse here in Saginaw, and she worked primarily with COVID patients. And so we got into a really nice talk. At any rate, a couple days later, I was sitting across the road with my neighbor and good friend Catherine on her porch talking, and this black car pulled up on the road, and the lady jumped out. And I don't have a good memory, so I knew I'd seen her someplace, but I couldn't really remember where. And she goes, "I've got something for you." And so Catherine said, "For me?" And she said, "No, for him." And it was the lady from the sale, and she wanted me to have this and the other piece, which was actually a painting. And so she brought it to me and gave it to me, which I thought was really sweet and very kind of her. Beautiful piece. I'm thinking probably 1900, 1920s, maybe in that era, perhaps a little bit earlier. There's a maker mark on the back. I have not been able to find that online. If I could, then I could give a better idea, of course, of the era that it's from, but it sure is lovely. Such a unique design to it. As I told you, I love pitchers, and I love coffee and teapots. These three items are all from Bavaria, and this one is not in tip-top shape. It doesn't have any major flaws. It just need, some of the cleaning. It's hard to get some of the staining off from it. It's got a nice, lovely bouquet of flowers on it. Again, I think this was transfer. It wasn't painted on. And then the coffee pot. Why is it there's always a lid or something, the lid missing from coffee pots or teapots, it seems like. This one, very ornate. Again, I love the flower design. I'm not sure if that's transfer. To me, it feels and looks hand painted, and then it's got the swirly effects around it. Very nice ornate handle and nice pouring spout. And I like the kind of knobby bottom around it. So a really pretty piece. Excuse me. If I had to date it, I would say early 1900s. And then here's another pitcher, creamer. And it has, these are transfer, I believe. Nice, design in the actual material. Handle's not quite so ornate, but still a very, very pretty piece. But and its only flaw, again, is that it's difficult to clean and get everything off from it, staining from over the years. But you can pick these items up, at least here in Saginaw, at thrift stores and yard sales all the time. There's a lot. There seems to be a lot of them around in this area. I've heard it's not so much so in other areas, but I'm always watching out for those, and you can always pick them up for, really very good price. This little bud vase intrigues me, and perhaps one of you out there can help me. If you have any information, I would love to hear from you. It is like almost paper thin, the ceramic material. It has very nice little handles on it, and nice floral design, and design in the material itself. There are no maker's marks on the bottom, but it is a really fine quality, and I've never found one where the material has been so thin as in this little piece. I don't know what to date it. I think maybe, judging by the flowers on it, the overall look, maybe early 1900s to 1920s. But if you have any information that you might be able to add and help me on with this, I surely would appreciate your help. It seems like a lot of these kind of pieces came from Germany and later Japan, but these three pieces are all from Germany. Again, the top is missing from this, but still an elegant, pretty little piece. Like the handles are always so ornate, and the rippled effect along the bottom. I'm thinking this was probably a sugar bowl. This piece, again, top is missing, but I still like the piece a lot, and it has fruit, probably transfer on it, some nice decoration along the lip and the base. Very nicely done, very pleasing to the eye. Smaller pattern on this side, and then we have this picture over here. I like the high ornate handle and the roses that are on it. These again are transfer, they're not hand painted. And it has like grapes embossed on the bottom, and just a very small pattern on the other side. In very nice condition. Again, all three of these, I'd put these at early 1900s to 1920s. Let me know what you think. When I first found these, I didn't know what they were used for and why they had a handle in the center of the plate, off the edge of the plate. It turns out they are cheese serving trays. This one targets back to the 1890s. Actually, maybe earlier, because while it does have a maker's mark on it, it has in gold on the bottom. See if I can get a close-up of that for you. On the bottom it says Frida Moas, M-O-A-S, and 68 in parentheses, and then that's in gold. It looks like it's signature. So if this 68 could be in 1868, if that's the case, it's obviously quite an old piece. It has a rose on it. I don't know if that's hand painted or not, can't tell for sure. Nice gold ornamentation around the piece, and some gold ornamentation on the handle. This piece over here is a souvenir of Niagara Falls, and it was made in Japan. I think it was probably 1930s, maybe. Maybe a little later, in the 40s, I'm not sure. But a very pretty image on there, which feels hand painted, I'm not sure, but it feels like it. And it says on the back of it, let's see, made in Japan, in red. So even though it doesn't say occupied Japan, I believe red means occupied Japan. So these are the only two cheese serving dish plates like this I've ever found. So I'm on the lookout for more. I think they're kind of unique and unusual. I always thought teapots were charming, quaint items. We have two here that are very nice. This one was made in Japan. It is hand painted, probably the 1940s, 1950s. Top intact, and made in Japan in black on the bottom. In very nice condition. Ready to serve up a steaming cup of tea. This one is made by Hall here in the USA. I'm thinking 1950s by the overall look of it. Lid is intact, and it's on the bottom just says Hall 6 cup made in USA. That's a heavy one, and the only fault on it is a chip on the cover. My mom would have loved these because she was a big tea drinker, and so were all of us kids until we grew up. My sister still is a big tea drinker, but a couple very lovely vintage teapots. Probably everybody's heard of Fiestaware from the late 1940s into the 1950s. It was very colorful, very almost Western pattern design. I used to have some pieces that were marked Fiesta. I don't have those anymore. These are not marked Fiesta, but they are Fiesta style ware. And my particular favorite, this is one of my favorites in my whole collection, is this green pitcher. I love the design, very eye-pleasing. The way the handle is offset and everything. And the lime green. Lime green was such a popular color back in the day. And then I have the large yellow cereal bowl. Again, as you can see, there's no markings, maker's markings on it. And the yellow saucer or plate, dinner plate. And again, no mark. But these came in so many different colors. I've had orange in the past too. And I'm always on the lookout for pieces of Fiestaware just because it's so colorful. And it had to be fun to use back in the day. I mean, you know, it really would brighten up the dinner table, I would think. So let's move on. Here are some more pieces from my Made in Japan collection. Made in Japan is pretty easy to find. These probably are from the 30s, 40s, and some maybe from the 50s. All are hand painted, and almost all of them are marked on the bottom, Made in Japan or Nippon. So let's take a closer look at some of these. This is this little creamer. I absolutely love the flower on it, the whole overall design, and the decorative motif of the colors. And then along with them, are 3 saucers from the same set, and Made in Japan. And then a larger saucer, which features the center one might be a dandelion. They might all be, not sure, but it was a pretty set. And this kind of lusterware is fairly easy to find. The cup also, I don't know if I said, goes with those. Then here's a little sugar dish. Would have been covered. Cover is missing again, of course. That came from my neighbor and good friend Catherine across the street. And a little rice bowl. And again, it has the colorful flowers on it and the blue around the bottom. Hand painted, really nicely done. All this Made in Japan stuff was nicely made. Then we have the I'm not sure what kind of flower that is, but it almost puts me in mind of a winter type scene for some reason. Maybe it's the light blue in the background kind of has a blustery look to it to me. Then over here is an unmatched cup. Again, though, with the bright flowers and the colors, and very nice. And then these last pieces here from the Made in Japan that I want to show you today. These pieces all go together. Really nice little creamer. And again, it has that blue motif around the top and the very colorful, bright orange flowers. And then I believe this would be the sugar container. This one didn't have a top to begin with, so it's not missing. Small saucer and 2 teacups. Again, these are fairly easy to find at yard sales, thrift stores. They're usually not real expensive, but if you want something colorful in your collection of china, porcelain, ceramics, think about these lusterware Made in Japan pieces, because they really do look nice on a table setting, and they are very, very eye-catching. Now, why am I showing you this broken up old piece? And that's a legitimate question. It is ceramic, fired clay, very reminiscent of Native American Indian, but it's not. I actually dug this piece up in my backyard when David and I were living over at 1016 Stevens here in Saginaw, Michigan, and I was able to find this many pieces and reassemble them. Now, there's no way, there's no maker marks or anything. It has the impression of, or the design of cordage on it, almost a basket-like texture. Nice rim. Like I said, very reminiscent of Native American pottery, but not of this area, or area, because they didn't use glazes in this area. It has a brown glaze inside and various colors on the outside, green and a light greenish gold color. I found this in 2015. The backyard of that house at one time had been a dump area, and I found things there dating from the 1940s all the way back to the Paleolithic period. But I have the feeling that this piece is probably 1880s, 1890s. It could have been a tourist piece from the Southwest, where the Native Americans were still producing pottery and ceramics in their traditional way and firing them themselves. This was not a high degree of firing, but it has a lot of character, and there was no way I could not put it together and keep these pieces just to display in my collection. So I think it's really cool, and I hope you enjoyed taking a look at that too. Well, I hope you enjoyed looking at some of the pieces in my collection. I have in the past showed you my collection of Native American pottery from here in Michigan. Now I've shown you this. In a future episode, not too far in the future, I want to show you some of the really unique ceramics I have from the southeast United States and the southwestern United States. They made some very, very beautiful pieces and were very finely decorated. And in the southwest, they actually used slips and made the pots much more ornate. Even their utilitarian pots, many of them were very appealing to the eye. Thanks for stopping by. If you have any suggestions for future episodes you would like to see, please leave them in the comments below. I love hearing from all of you. It does my heart good to hear from you, whether it's good or bad, of course. I hope it's good. So with that said, if you haven't done so yet, please click that thumbs up button, and I'll be back with you soon with another episode of Charlie Cat Presents. God bless, and I love you all.